Am I the a-hole for changing the door locks back after my wife changed them? I, 30 have been married for 3 years to my wife, who is truly one of the kindest, most generous people I know. She's the kind of person who makes cinnamon rolls from scratch for people she barely knows, volunteers to help her coworkers, and always shows up for others. She's easygoing, organized, and incredibly thoughtful, until she's pushed too far. We live just a few houses down from my parents, which, initially, seemed like a blessing. My 17-year-old sister often pops by, especially in the summer. She and her friends treat our place like their personal hangout spot, mostly because we have a pool and keep good snacks stocked. I never minded too much. My wife at first didn't either. But over time, things started to add up. Towels left soaked on the floors. Trash not thrown away. Wet footprints through the kitchen. My wife would spend hours cleaning up after teenage chaos while I was at work. She raised the issue gently at first, and I spoke with my sister about it. Things improved slightly, but then personal items started going missing. My wife's clothes, makeup, even a few perfumes. When she brought it up, my sister denied everything. I believed her. I mean, she's my little sister. I didn't want to think she could steal. I told my wife we'd just replace the items and move on. That was mistake number 1. Last week, my wife spent an entire evening baking 2 pans of homemade cinnamon rolls. One was for us, the other was for a coworker whose child is battling terminal cancer. The cinnamon rolls were her way of offering a small comfort to someone whose world was falling apart. The next morning I went to work. My wife hit the gym. While we were both gone, my sister and her friends came over. They ate the first pan of cinnamon rolls and then decided that wasn't enough. My sister texted my wife asking if they could have the second pan. My wife, understandably, said no. They ate them anyway. That was the tipping point. My wife was devastated, not just because her thoughtful gesture was ruined, but because it symbolized everything she'd been putting up with. She went out and had the locks changed that same day. When I got home, she handed me a new key and calmly said, "No one else gets a copy. I don't want anyone else in this house without us here." I thought she was overreacting. I tried to fix it my way, by offering to replace the cinnamon rolls with store-bought ones and promising to talk to my sister again. But my wife was done. She said replacing things wasn't good enough anymore. It wasn't just about the things, it was about her trust being broken over and over again. Still, I didn't fully get it. A few days later, my mom called and asked if my sister could have a small, back-to-school pool party at our place. I assumed she'd be there to supervise, so I said yes. When scheduling got complicated and my mom couldn't make it, I figured the easiest solution was to just quietly change the locks back so my sister could let herself in. Huge mistake. My wife came home after the party to find our house trashed. Again. She sent me photos, muddy floors, empty soda cans, more wet towels, and then called me. Not to yell, but with a level of quiet, exhausted disappointment that hit me harder than any shouting could have. She said I'd broken her trust. Again. She told me she didn't feel safe in her own home, that her belongings kept going missing, that I kept prioritizing my sister's convenience over her peace of mind. Then she said she was staying with a friend for a while. Am I the a-hole here? I feel like I have tried to right any wrongs that have happened between my wife and my sister. Update: sorry I haven't been able to reply the past couple of hours. I have been busy. I talked to my mom again and let her know my sister isn't allowed over without me home. I asked a friend's wife who is a maid to come deep clean our home. So when my wife comes home, it's clean. The last thing is my mom asked me to help cover my sister's cheer. She's on track for a scholarship. I told my mom I would pay half of my wife's things were returned. If not, the money was going to replace the stolen items. Also, my sister was invited to homecoming. She wanted me to buy a dress. I told her no for not following our home rules, and the money I saved for the dress is going to pay for the maid. I did replace the locks again. I also am planning a romantic dinner I will make and clean up. I heard a lot about the cinnamon rolls. Someone on here gave me the idea to make them. I am for a dessert. Update: my sister and my mom left a few minutes ago. My sister had a bag of my wife's things. More than I thought was gone. Most items are in poor shape. The big thing is she had my wife's grandmother's ring I thought was in the safe. I had no idea it was gone. My sister said that she found it on my wife's nightstand during the party. She forgot she had it on when she left her home. The ring isn't valuable, it's just sentimental. I told my mom who the ring belonged to. My mom lost it. My sister is now grounded. Last update tonight, my wife is coming home. I am staying at a friend's house until we can work some of this out. I already stated it, but I did put the locks back on my wife bought. My family doesn't have that key. Early morning update: My mom called my wife last night and asked what my sister can do to fix/replace the damaged items. My wife said, have her meet me every morning at 5 a.m. I decided to tag along and see what my wife had planned, trying to support her in whatever punishment she decides to do. You know the cinnamon rolls. My wife's coworker's 4 years old is in the final stages of cancer. My wife's plan is for my sister and her to prepare breakfast, get their other kids up and ready for the day, start laundry, basic cleanup, so her coworker and his wife can spend as much time as he can with a sick child before work. My sister was silent the whole time coming back home. I can tell it really hit her that her life isn't as hard, even being grounded. Last and final post, my wife has given me a second chance as long as I follow her list of rules. For a while, no family at her home. No family borrowing our things. 3. No one is allowed a key. 4. I help with the chores around the house, including cooking meals. Last, my wife is okay with me seeing my sister, but asks that we all go to counseling to understand why my sister is targeting her. My wife said all of this has been really hard and she doesn't want to cause more issues, but she just doesn't trust my sister and can't have her using out things.